There, we'll hear from Brian Schottenheimer on when they expect their star wideout back in the mix, plus a live report from Cowboys. And in Minnesota, questions around their quarterback room continue to build. What should we make of J.J. McCarthy's latest comments, and what does it mean moving forward? Who has the edge there in that quarterback competition? The Lions focused on a reset after last season, but how quickly can they get back to form under new offensive direction? Dan Campbell already setting the tone. You'll hear that in just a few seconds. We welcome you in. We're so glad that you're with us today. Chase, Daniel, Damian, Woody here. We got Jeff Darlington as well, and so much to get into. So we're going to go right to it. We begin with breaking news. You guys, coming out of Green Bay, where the Packers have signed Christian Watson to a 4-year, $110.5 million extension that included a $31 million signing bonus. Now, Watson isn't necessarily a high-volume receiver, but he is very productive when his numbers call. That matters. Of the 200 receivers with 50 targets since 2024, Watson averages the second most yards per reception in the NFL, behind only the Colts' Alec Pierce. Jeff, what have you been hearing about the Packers' decision to lock in Christian Watson long-term and why that benefits this squad?
Well, Laura, this is not just about locking him in long-term. This is about setting that core in place long-term around Jordan Love. Now, he's got Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden. He's got these guys set and ready to roll. Love pointing out this offseason that he feels like the chemistry with his wide receivers this offseason is night and day different than it was last year. And a lot of that does basically stem around Christian Watson. Obviously concerns about injuries here, but the Packers feel very comfortable about the way that he was able to rebound from those injuries. They feel like his future is projecting out even better than his past, and that is why they're willing to pay him. By the way, Laura, it doesn't also hurt that every wide receiver, the market is just skyrocketing. Right, the Packers know that. They lock them up now, and they don't have to pay more in a few months.
Good point.
Well, look, I mean, $31 million guaranteed. When I saw this, I was 110. I'm like, oh, my gosh, my mouth dropped, my jaw dropped. I'm like, well, okay, $31 million guaranteed. The biggest thing for him, he has to stay on the field. Yeah. Like, he's been hurt 21 games, including one playoff game. He has missed due to injury, and I love the fact that they're locking up a guy that can make it happen deep down the field. These inside fade routes, he can move all over. He's not one of these one-trick ponies with him and Jaden Reed, Tucker Kraft coming back from an ACL. We saw him on the treadmill today running. All this stuff makes a lot of sense. So when you have Matthew Golden stepping up and you have all these other playmakers that they have, to me, it looks like it's a dangerous signing because when you need a play down the field, other than that, this guy is the premier deep threat in the NFL.
Yeah, and to me, all roads leads to Jordan Love. You know, when you talk about the news that came out about Michael Parsons being out possibly the first 4 games, it's going to be paramount for Jordan Love to really get off to that fast start. And when you talk about the collection of weapons that the Green Bay Packers have on offense, obviously signing Christian Watson, and you talked about, Jaden Reed and all those, the cast of characters that he have, I think Jordan Love, it's time for Jordan Love, I think, to ascend to the next step. I think he's been a star. Jordan Love has the capability of being a superstar in this league, and they're going to need him to play like that in the absence of Michael Parsons.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what type of step he takes going forward. And remember, too, Jeff Hafley, when you talk about the defensive side, he is now the Miami Dolphins head coach. Jeff, more news from the Packers this week with that information that Micah Parsons will start the season on the PUP list. What more can you tell us about what went into that decision?
This isn't that much of a surprise to people in Green Bay. He underwent the surgery December 29th. It has always been his projection and plan to do the 9 months necessary to feel like he is fully healed. Some players go about this differently. Patrick Mahomes is dead set on starting week 1, and nobody's going to get in his way. Micah Parsons taking a different approach, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's the wrong approach. Now, I will point to the timeline that if you were to project out 9 months from that December 29th date, that puts you at September 29th. That means week 5 would be the game against the Bears. It feels like a perfect way for him to come back. One more point here, Laura. Because of a new rule in place, he can start his 21-day practice window after week 2. So even if he were on PUP, I know this is a little complicated, even if he were on PUP, he could practice and be ready to go week 5. The ramp-up period makes it exactly so.
Yeah, by the way, the Packers could be without Micah until at least week 6. You probably saw it on the screen there, but that's prime time against the Cowboys. So.
I wonder if Goodell's going to get on the phone. Hey, come on back.
Interesting, right. Yeah, come on. Let's make sure you're there for that one. All right, thanks to Jeff. We've got more coming from you as we continue on. And speaking of the Cowboys, let's head to Dallas, where they're in the middle of their offseason workouts. All eyes continue to be on George Pickens, who You can't put eyes on him because he hadn't been present there, okay? Today, head coach Brian Schottenheimer spoke about the absence of his wideout.
As you guys know, it's voluntary. Communicated with GP yesterday. He's got a football camp this weekend that he's doing. So communication's been good, and as you guys know, it's voluntary, and he's taking care of his business.
Those conversations, is it giving you an indication that he'll be here when it's the mandatory session?
No, we haven't discussed that, but I expect he'll be here, and I think he's in a good spot. But again, I know he's handling his business, and I know he misses his teammates. And so we miss him too. You guys know how we feel about him. We love him, and this is just part of the business.
Good to hear that Shotty has talked to George Pickens as we now welcome in NFL Network reporter Jane Slater. Thrilled to have you, Jane. You're live there at Cowboys camp. What more can you tell us about George Pickens?
Hey, Laura. Well, he may not have given any certainties to Brian Schottenheimer, but I did reach out to a source close to him, and I was assured that George Pickens will be here next week for mandatory minicamp. Now, a lot of people, and guys in the studio, I know you'll know this, a lot of people will say, well, what's the big deal about OTAs? They're voluntary. Well, they're a big deal this year because of the defensive overhaul. When you look at what Christian Parker is bringing to Dallas, it is a disguised defense that forces everybody to think. And as a result of that, it's good to have the offensive players here. As Brian Schottenheimer said today, he said there's a lot of young guys that are spinning right now. But still, CeeDee Lamb says he's working out with him. He looks good, and he has no complaints as it goes for that. But in terms of this defense, he had a few thoughts on some of the challenges he's already seeing in practice.
It's annoying. It's been annoying to prepare against, but obviously seeing it in practice every day, I mean, it's kind of unique just seeing different guys communicate and being able to understand and take what they learn from the meeting room and being able to easily translate it on the field. I mean, it's good to go against. It's very tricky, but as for offenses, we just got to play fast and get to our spots.
You know, as one former player told me, the big thing about having everybody here this week is the shared sacrifice. In fact, it was 92 degrees out there today and then started raining. So, you know, they get to do that together. But when we talk about this defense, we've seen such a changeover. I mean, we have 6 new stars on this defense. But talking to a guy like Donovan Ezeraku, who is in his second year, he is so excited about this. All these guys couldn't wait to get their hands on the playbook. And they say Christian Parker, even though he's 34 years old, he's not teaching like one or one who hasn't been a DC before.
Jane, great information. We cannot wait to see when and if Pickens shows up, but it sounds like, according to your source, that we will see him. That will be fascinating. We'll see more of you as well. And Pickens is coming off career highs in catches, yards, and touchdowns last season. Cowboys offense was their greatest strength, right, in 2025, averaging the second most yards per game of any team. Also, they did a great job on fourth down and ranked top 10 in points per game. Dallas had 3 40-point games, which co-led the NFL. The issue has been the defense, right? Jane's talking about how they're going to fix a lot of that. A lot of chains there on. We were trying to figure out what
Can't hide that
Money value. What do you think?
You can't hide that money.
Price that out as.
Oh man, that's a lot.
I don't know anything about.
$500,000?
It looked like it. That's heavy. He's heavy out there.
Hey, listen, he's wearing it well.
grill, too.
So George Pickens, obviously a big reason for the offensive success, and he hasn't been out there in the voluntary work. But how important is it for Dallas to have him out on the field during minicamp?
I mean, it's minicamp. It's OTAs, right? You want to have your stud guys out there, but contract dispute, all this sort of things, I understand it. I get it. The biggest thing with George Pickens in this offense under Brian Schottenheimer is him and CeeDee Lamb complement each other so well. The biggest reason why George Pickens was able to have the season he had last year was because of CeeDee Lamb. He was isolated one-on-one. He was mainly the slot receiver. You put CeeDee Lamb in the slot, and then you put George Pickens out there at the X. I mean, you can't double them both. And that's a reason why Dak, in my opinion, at times last year played like the best quarterback in the NFL for many weeks in a row. This was not the problem, like an offensive problem, why they didn't make the playoffs. It was defensive problem. Now you go out and you get Caleb Downs among many other moves.
Right.
I like it. Pickens is a huge part of it, but it is OTAs. Like it's like glorified shorts and a helmet. So everyone just take a calm down.
I think Dan Campbell said the other day it was like pajama party practice.
It is. They got the timing down. They're going to be good.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, what a luxury to have the continuity that the Dallas Cowboys have on offense. Obviously, you talk about the transition on the defensive side, and there's going to be some things going on, some errors, and Jane even talked about how guys' heads were swimming.
Yeah.
Well, when you have an offense that can score with anyone, that gives you some leeway defensively to kind of work the kinks out and really get into form. And we know with this Dallas defense, they're going to be multiple. To switch it to a 3-4 style defense, they're going to be attacking. I would say the biggest thing from a defensive perspective is they got to be able to stop the run. You know, as much the Dallas Cowboys have loaded up on guys that can rush the passes, I always say you have to earn the right to rush the passer, and it's going to be critical for them to be able to stop the run this year.
They got to get off the field, too. That's the biggest thing for them. Like, third down percentage wasn't great. Get that offense back on the field, run the football some more with George Pickens, and throw it down the field, man.
Jeff, I'm curious. We've seen 2 wideouts get paid this week. Do you think those payouts impact Pickens' willingness to play on the tag at all?
No, I don't. I think that this still is on track to be a pretty peaceful, amicable situation through the summer. George Pickens knows exactly what the market looks like at the wide receiver spot. And I'll say, having been in Dallas during the draft when they were actually discussing this Pickens situation, they made very clear to him that they weren't going to negotiate a long-term deal. And Pickens still came to the facility and signed that franchise tag. The idea of him missing OTAs, really much ado about nothing at this point. He's essentially saying to the team, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't use your device on me with the franchise tag and expect me to also go to these voluntary workouts. And I don't think that that's a dramatic move. I think that that's just a good business one. And in this situation, it basically wipes out any chance of injury. This is just one more day that George Pickens can focus on himself. My sense in Dallas was the rare offseason where the drama really isn't coming to the surface. We'll see if that stays, Laura, but for now, it does feel like that.
Famous last words there, Jeff. You might have just jinxed it a little bit. You see it on the screen.
Voluntary OTA.
We're blaming Jeff if it ends up getting dramatic. Cowboys minicamp June 16th through 18th. Again, Jane's reporting from a source that she told us is that you will see George Pickens there. So we'll keep an eye on that. And, of course, we'll have all the coverage right here. We're just getting started today here on NFL Live. A lot more coming your way. Fresh off the Madden 27 cover, Caleb Williams looks to build on a breakout year. Chase is going to head to the touchscreen, showing you why he's, quote, Superman for the Bears. He'll explain more. Plus, with Aaron Rodgers back in the fold, will it be more of the same for the action NBA Finals? We got some football, too, okay? Busy week at Steelers camp, signing tight end Darnell Washington to a 4-year, $42 million extension yesterday. Linebacker Nick Herbig to a 4-year, $100 million extension earlier this week. Both moves signaling the Steelers' focus on locking in their young talent. But we're now joined by our Steelers reporter, Brooke Pryor. What's up, Brooke? You were at camp this week when all these deals came together. You're a big part of reporting all of it, as always. What more can you tell us about the Steelers' decision to lock in on these players and build this roster?
First of all, there are all these deals going on. I can't believe none came my way because they were just handing them out like candy.
What's going on?
But the Steelers spent $142 million this week. That is a lot of money. It would be a lot more if they let those guys hit the open market because of what free agents are getting paid, and particularly what these two guys could get paid. They are unicorn players. There's no one like Darnell Washington in the NFL. He's built like a tackle. He can catch the ball like a wide receiver. He can run over a guy like a running back. And so to get him for $42 million, 21 guaranteed, he's going to be a big piece of Mike McCarthy's offense. He doesn't just have to be a red zone target. He can also be a blocking tight end. He can do a little bit of everything. And then Nick Herbig has not had a full season as a starter in the NFL, yet he's been incredibly productive when he's been on the field. He's getting paid starter money because the Steelers understand how valuable he is and how valuable having a 3-man rotation at outside linebacker can be. And I know there was a lot of smoke about Alex Highsmith didn't come to mandatory minicamp the day after Nick Herbig gets that deal. That was unrelated. Genuinely, truly, he's under the weather. There is no holdout. The guy that's going to do that is not Alex Highsmith.
Right.
And by the way, I don't think the Steelers are done. Joey Porter Jr. was having a little bit of a hold-in this week. Could he be next? Also, Keanu Benton. He shares an agent with Nick Herbig, who that agent was there yesterday when Nick Herbig signed his deal. Maybe it was a little 2-for-1 special.
Hey, only the inside scoop that you can get from Brooke Pryor. Now, I think part of this answer may have to do with Darnell Washington, but what is the key for Mike McCarthy to make this offense go this coming season?
I think the big thing is explosives. You know, the lack of explosive plays, particularly in the passing game. When you talk about Aaron Rodgers, think about this. Last time we saw Aaron Rodgers in a game, he was just getting shellacked by the Houston Texans defense, running for his life.
That defense does that to a lot of people.
Does it to a lot of people. But here's what I will say. Number one, protection. Number two, Aaron Rodgers got to push the ball down the field.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about dead last in air yards and the most passes at or behind the line of scrimmage. Listen, I love Yak just like the next person, but like I need explosives down the field. And Chase, you know this, man. Like it is so hard to go on 12, 13, 14 play drives in this league and score. You need explosives to help your offense out.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like I was talking to you before the show. I'm pretty bullish on these Steelers. Like their core is locked in. Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf, Jeremy Bernard. I think is the rookie from. I think he's going to have an extremely versatile year. And you look at all three of those guys. All three play different parts in the offense. The biggest thing, like you were saying, you got to throw the football down the field at some point. You just watched the Texans specifically shellacking, like you said. When they were playing Rodgers, they were just sitting on everything.
Right.
Like use DK Metcalf in the middle of the field. And the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is how McCarthy and Rodgers work together. I know they were together back in Green Bay, but you go back to McCarthy's last year in 2024 with the Dallas Cowboys. They only ran the ball 37% of the time, only for 6 touchdowns. They have to find some resemblance of a run game, not put it all on Aaron Rodgers. And then you look at that offense in general, very static, right? Rodgers wants to be at the line of scrimmage in a 2x2 set or a 3x1 set and just barking orders. You can't do that. You got to put them under center. You got to have play action. I like this Steelers team. I think the defense will be better, but you have to spread them out, but also get big with Darnell Washington and multiple things. Get under center and push the football down the field.
Well, D. Wood, you said you want to see explosives. I saw explosives yesterday at the end of practice.
Good.
Aaron Rodgers hit Roman Wilson. The pass went 60 yards in the air. Look at the practice field. There's no official measurements here, but it was at the end of a 2-minute period and it went for a touchdown. More of that, I think, is what we're going to see this year. And Darnell Washington said afterward, he was like, look, I don't want to call him old, but he hasn't lost a step for an older person, a mature person, shall we say.
Seasoned.
I'm just saying, the
Yes.
arm is fine. I think we're going to see some more fireworks. This year.
I don't think he would come back for another year, which he does say this is his final year, if the arm wasn't going to be able to do what he wants it to do, right? Either way, too, like remember DK Metcalf's on this team? They have some weapons. To your point, there's some reasons to be excited about what they can do. The Steelers ranked 20th in design run percentage in 2025 after ranking top 5 in 2023 and 24. To your point about McCarthy potentially running it a little bit more. We'll see what they do. All right, coming up, the quarterback competition between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy heated up with some interesting comments about the vibe in the QB room. You may have seen this already. The Jets has some...
The Vikings signed Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray is a dramatic improvement over what we watched in Minnesota last season.
The organization made a decision that they feel is going to improve the depth and the quality of the room.
There's a reason Kyler Murray's there.
Kyler's a playmaker. His ability to play efficient football.
My confidence is unshakable. You won't see me waver.
Who's going to be that last man standing?
He sits on one side, I sit on the other side, and it's the coach's responsibility to teach us and coach us.
Now that I am here,
all I'm going to do is focus on what I can control.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, especially when you see it side by side like that. The quarterback competition headlines Vikings camp this offseason. All eyes on how that room shakes out, right? Kevin O'Connell spoke about J.J. McCarthy's comments that he and Kyler are sitting on opposite sides of the classroom in meetings for the first time today. Here's what their coach said.
Now there's an interpretation of those comments are going to be what they are. I would just say that in the room and the actual day-to-day, the dialogue between those guys, the interactions have been very professional, and even more so than that, it's just been a positive room, and I think Carson has a lot to do with that as the veteran in the room. And obviously, I would never discount Josh McCown's extensive career as a player in those quarterback rooms and how he manages the room and engages with everybody in there. So I didn't make a lot out of it. I know there was some reaction to it, and that's probably not the first time there's going to be a reaction to those guys kind of, answering questions about the situation, and that's what part of the competition is all about.
Woo! Okay, my eyebrows are raising. The Vikings quarterback room hoping to make amends after a difficult 2025. Kyler Murray's final season in Arizona riddled with injuries, right? He played a career-low 5 games, while J.J. McCarthy had a few sparks during the season but finished with the worst completion percentage in the NFL. Jeff, there's a lot there, the comments from J.J. McCarthy, KOC's trying to come over the top and be like, it's not really a thing, but I don't know, there's something going on here, right? What have you been hearing about how this competition
100%.
is shaping up?
Yeah, you don't have to just dismiss this and say it wasn't a thing. And by the way, Kevin O'Connell choosing his words carefully, rightfully so, saying that things are professional in the meeting room, and that is important. Not every quarterback situation has to be like Chase Daniels, okay? Just so everybody knows, Chase is the most amicable person in the history of quarterback rooms of all time. It doesn't mean that that has to be the way for everybody. But I will say, with JJ specifically, it's not like him and Sam Darnold. I don't know if this is a big secret or anything like that, but it's not like those two got along awesome at the end. I'm not saying that they weren't professional behind the scenes, but it's very clear to me that JJ likes to take on these competitions a certain way, and he is not going to just view this as a symbiotic situation. Listen, I understand we're not going to make too much out of this, nor should we. But it is very clear the way that JJ is going about this, and his own words showed exactly that.
Okay, that was interesting. Really fast, D. Wood, I'm coming to you, but now's the time. Clear the air. Any awkwardness in your QB rooms that Jeff doesn't know about here? You ever wanted to?
It was exactly how he said it. It was good. Being a backup and being someone that you're in a quarterback room, you want to help the starter. Now you're trying to win, so it's a little bit different with the competition. Right. But everything was great.
I was hoping you were going to break some big news
Hey, I have a
here.
question, Laura. What starter did Chase hate the most?
Ooh,
I don't hate anyone.
Way better.
Wow. I don't hate anyone.
Or which one did you like the least?
See what I mean?
That's the same thing. No, that's absolutely not. Everyone was great. Everyone was an awesome teammate.
Jeff, we're not going to break him. We're trying some hardcore reporting here. It's not working. All right, go ahead, D. Wood.
No, listen. When I look at this breakdown, this quarterback competition, the one thing that really intrigues me about Kyler Murray, I think that's something that KOC hasn't had, is his running ability.
Yeah.
What he's going to add to the rushing attack for the Minnesota Vikings is going to be phenomenal. Obviously, we've seen that throughout Kyler Murray's career with the Arizona Cardinals, and to be able to bring that, it's just going to add another dimension. It's going to give a lot of defenses headaches, and you add that with the infrastructure that the Minnesota Vikings have on the outside. Having to be able to get the ball to Justin Jefferson consistently.
Come on.
That is a big deal. So Kyler Murray, to me, I'm excited to see what he does in the system.
And it has to be Kyler Murray. Look, I know we're saying this is a quarterback competition, but ever since Kyler Murray signed, the writing's been on the wall. I can't imagine it's going to be anyone but Kyler. Here's the thing about the situation. Like you alluded to, you have Addison, you have Hawkinson, you have Jones, you have the best receiver or one of the best receivers in all of football, and Justin Jefferson. The biggest thing for Kyler Murray's game, you have to play within the system. I like the running ability, and he's going to be able to do that and be Superman. And we're going to talk about Caleb Williams being Superman here in a little bit. But when he plays in rhythm, I'm telling you, I know he was 2-3 last year, 7 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. When he's playing in rhythm, he's really good. There were times in his career that Kyler Murray would play like a top 5 quarterback. And that's not being facetious. That's actual fact based on the film. He has to learn how to play in KOC's. That's the biggest thing for me.
And just being a point guard. When you have this type of team around, I mean, think about this. The Minnesota Vikings, with all that bad quarterback play, they still had a winning record last year. And all you have to do if you're Kyler Murray, should be a point guard.
Yes.
Distribute the ball to all those playmakers. I think the Minnesota Vikings will be more than okay this year.
Well, I think, too, like you were saying, distributing the football, he's going to be in shotgun. He's going to be able to see it a lot. But if you can get 75% of what Darnold did 2 years ago, this roster is still intact. It's still a very good team. Defensively, Brian Flores, the fits that they bring, they're going to get a lot of takeaways. Can they get better with it? I think it's got to be Kyler.
Okay, really fast. Drew Brees, Alex Smith, Carson Wentz, Mitchell Trubisky, Matthew Stafford, Justin Herbert. There has to be one that you like the least.
No, all of them are great.
Okay.
We're all great.
All right. So we're not going to. We're trying. We're still trying. Shout out to Darren and research for that.
That was quick.
I know. Good job. All right. In case you missed it, let's spend some time on this. Bears quarterback Caleb Williams will be on the cover of Madden 27.
That's a heck of a shot
Yesterday, his head coach Finn Johnson was asked about it. Let's listen to that.
Did you see the cover? Did you have any thoughts?
I saw it this morning. Yeah.
No reaction. Just
no reaction. Yeah.
No reaction. All right. I'm sure Ben Johnson had a better reaction to how long Caleb Williams could hold onto the ball last year. Of every quarterback in 2025 with at least 300 dropbacks, Williams had the longest average time to throw, even longer than the likes of Brock Purdy and Lamar Jackson, who each missed a chunk of the season. Chase, how do you envision Caleb Williams building on that momentum as he heads into year 3?
Yeah, Laura, I think the next progression in Caleb Williams' game is playing from the pocket. I know he can be Superman. We got the Iceman throw we're going to show a little bit later. But with Caleb Williams, it's all about progressions. What does that mean? Well, can you go from 1 to 2 to 3? This is in the playoff game. This is a big time down. There's about 6 minutes left in the game. What they're going to end up doing here on offense is pretty simple, right? We call it a 3-level vertical read. There's an out route that's shorter. There's a corner route right here. And then what we call a pylon route, right? So you're having to read this entire area. So let me pause this at the top of the drop. Look at this pocket. That's what you want. When Caleb Williams has a clean pocket, he is really, really good. Now the read right here, all right, you want to be able to read this guy from a clean pocket. If he jumps down, pretty simple, you're going to throw this pylon route for a touchdown. However, he sort of plays it pretty well, this defender right here. So I'm going to find this guy, Rome Odunze, right here in a tight window throw. This is what I want to see on time, in rhythm. He took 44 less sacks than he did a year ago. A perfectly thrown football to get them in a goal-to-go situation. Here's probably one of my favorites. This is a play that we've been running since Kansas City Chiefs days. It's a pure progression play. You're going to motion down DJ Moore right there. He's going to come on a shallow cross. Okay, your tight end is going to have a post route, and then your running back's going to have a sit route. So it's a little bit of a triangle read. Mind you, this is with 1:47 left in the fourth quarter with them trailing. So what do? You're going to go out there, look at the clean pocket. Again, right, a little bit more space in the pocket to throw. Mere mortals would take this check down. It's wide open. He says, not so fast. I'm going to look this player down here, and then we're going to throw this bender versus cover 2 safety look for a huge play and a huge completion. So when you have a really good pocket, you're able to make these throws. And then we had to do it, Lauren. What do you like? The Iceman throw. He's on the cover of Madden. This is it from the back view. You're going to get pressure right here from this overload side. So they're not going to be able to block it correctly. This isn't on schedule. This is him being Superman. Never a good feeling when you have a guy coming right through the A-gap unblocked. So what does he do? Goes to his left, and if I'm any good, I'm going to be able to pause this right when Iceman, right there. Look at this. There's nothing there. It's just Caleb Williams all the way around. Iceman throwing it on the run. We know he can beat you so many different ways. And look at the throw, right? Pocket progression, pure progression throws for Caleb Williams. We know he can be Superman. Can he beat you from the pocket?
Hey, Chase might be Iceman with the pause there. Perfect pause. Incredible. Still to come, after the Rams traded for Myles Garrett, can the Seahawks keep pace after losing key pieces from their Super Bowl team? D. Wood and Chase have some concerns. Stick out to find out what they are.
Big news in the NFL this week was the Myles Garrett trade. Just what was your first reaction to that?
Yeah, I mean, good for them. They've won it now, right?
Sarcasm.
Love him. Yeah, exactly. According to the numbers, though, he's right. ESPN Analytics has released its preseason football power index. Guys, it's June. But, okay, take a look at who is most likely to make Super Bowl 61. The Rams, who were on the doorstep last year, lead the Bills, Ravens, and their division rivals. Now, speaking of the Rams, with rumblings of an Aaron Donald return in the air, former teammate and current Seahawk Cooper Kupp had this to say on The Rich Eisen Show.
I already texted him and told him that he's not allowed. So we're good.
Oh, wait, what?
Pardon me? What happened?
No, I just texted Aaron and said, I said, don't even think about it. I just left it at that. So we're good. I'm not worried about it because he's not.
So I told him you stopped
I already nipped it in the bud. No one has to worry. It's all set.
All right, so yeah, fans everywhere like, thanks, Cooper. D-Wood, what's your message to offensive linemen if they had to go up against Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald?
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Oh, no.
Yeah, listen, it's like the Avengers kind of getting back together here. And, we always talk about how you have to game plan people. Well, obviously, Myles Garrett, you have to game plan. You get a fresh, healthy Aaron Donald, even at his age, will still cause havoc. So it's like, who do you double team? Who do you double team? Because it's not even just about those two. They got other players, along the defensive front. So that would be a scary proposition.
Let's stay in the NFC West. The 49ers with a 12% chance to make it to the Super Bowl. After a season that was derailed by injuries, Chase, what do you see as the biggest factor in getting this team back to that championship level?
Well, don't be decimated by injury. And it's not just like when you get hurt. It's not just like some other players. It's your star players, Purdy, McCaffrey, Bosa, Warner. The list goes on and on. The biggest thing that's not being talked about enough is Mike Evans, though. Coming over from Tampa. Dude is a surefire Hall of Famer. He fits perfectly in that Shanahan system, and he's going to cook. Like, it's just one of those things where it's just like, hey, one-on-one, you got it, over 1,000 yards in almost every single season. And Kyle Shanahan is one of the best offensive minds in the game. So to dream up a situation where you can get Purdy back fully healthy, you got McCaffrey back fully healthy, add in Mike Evans, add in Kittle, at all three levels of offensive skill makers, you have studs.
I can't wait to see how Shanahan uses Evans. To the Super Bowl champs who are trying to run it back with just a 13% chance to repeat per FPI. But this roster is shaping up a bit differently this year, right? The Seahawks will look a lot different in their title defense. Title defense. I wanted to make it about defense there. We will get to that. Starting near the top, offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak took the Raiders head coaching job. They also lost the Super Bowl MVP in Kenneth Walker, who signed a 3-year deal with the Chiefs this offseason, a team in need of an upgrade to their run game. And now to the defense. Notable departures for Seattle, including Reek Woolen, who went to the Eagles. Kobe Bryant went to the Bears. Boye Mafe to the Bengals. Key pieces for that tenacious Seahawks defense signing with other teams. So yesterday, Sam Darnold was asked about all the changes on the offensive side of the ball and how that transition's been.
Thankfully, it hasn't been too much of a transition, so it's a lot of the same stuff, right? It's, Fleury obviously coming from San Francisco, but a couple different wrinkles here and there, but so it's been good that way to be able to get some of that same verbiage, but just a couple different wrinkles.
I mean, I will say, I don't expect him to be like, yeah, I'm really worried.
Yeah.
But Sam Darnold, but he's saying he's not worried about some of the changes on the offense. Do you see it that way?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think there's a little bit of concern when you lose Kenneth Walker to the Chiefs, and then you have Zach Charbonnet coming back, who's from injury. When is he going to start? And then you draft Jadarian Price, which he's never loved that guy. He's never started a game in college, and he's a great back. All that to be said is the thing that's not being talked about enough. Clint Kubiak leaving and the departure of Brian Fleury. I get it, right? Like, you have never called plays before, and you take some time to build that quarterback offensive coordinator relationship, and it takes time. You can't build it in OTAs. You can't build it in minicamp. You can't build it in training camp. Even preseason games, you have to go through a battle together on the field, and you got to understand what Sam Darnold does well and how he does it. And then, look, I think it's going to look really similar because Fleury spent 7 seasons with Kyle Shanahan. And I think, Sam Darnold's used to not having the same offensive coordinator year after year after year. It's changed quite a bit. That's a big piece I'm going to be looking at early in the year until they can settle in.
Listen, Mike McDonald has the chance to be a legendary coach. I was embedded with the Seahawks. I think he is fantastic. He is brilliant. He has that locker room, the whole thing. The biggest challenge he's going to face is the fact that he is a defensive play caller. So every single year, when his offense performs well, he's going to be on another coaching search trying to replace him, because there's going to be a team out there that's going to poach that offensive coordinator to make him a head coach. I have heard from NFL owners who actually kind of steer away from hiring those defensive head coaches. By the way, this might be a dumb idea, but they steer away because they're so worried that every year the offensive coordinator is going to get poached. That's going to be something that they have to deal with every year.
Point.
Clint Kubiak is awesome. He's great, but this is something, if the Seahawks can't get over it now, it's going to be a problem that plagues them for years to come. They're going to have to figure out how to get this pipeline working so that Sam Darnold can cook every year.
Yeah, Chase, you actually brought it up. The biggest concern I have is Brian Fleury. He's a first-time play caller. I mean, think about that. You're in a division with the San Francisco 49ers and the Los Angeles Rams. There's not going to be much time for a kind of honeymoon period. Right. You're going up against some big dogs, not only in your division, but in the conference itself. So The question I have is how long will it take between the synergy between the offensive coordinator and the quarterback to really have this offense humming in a very competitive division?
You heard Darnold say, the verbiage is very similar, not much changes, but what is the difference when you're dealing with a different play caller, different voice in your ear, all of that, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, different cadence even calling plays. Like something so small can throw you off, and that's what it takes. Like you were saying, usually takes 4 to 5 weeks to get used to it. Not only that, but also on money downs, third down, red zone, 2 minute. How do you call the game? Those are huge downs. Anyone can really get out there with like someone like been around Cal Shannon. I say anyone. This is a very difficult job. Most people can get out there and call it on early downs, first and second down. But when you're in third down of a massive in-division rival, what are you going to call? How do you know what Sam Darnold likes in week 1? How do you just don't know. So the communication has to be next level.
I just want to say that the good news is Sam Darnold is very easy to get along with. And, he is a great locker room guy, and I think that he'll be able to get along with any new coach.
Are we going back to Chase's quarterbacks that he spent time with? Okay.
I love Sam.
I love it. Yeah, exactly. The Seahawks scored, I'm going to move on. Seahawks scored 191 more points than their opponents last year in Kubiak's only season as the offensive coordinator. Jeff's over there like, let me stir the pot. Okay, coming up. After a disappointing finish to 2025, Jared Goff and the Lions